All right, it's the last week of the college football season. We're throwing it back to the year 2000. This is the weekend spread. Let's get it going. All right, hello and welcome to the weekend spread. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, as always, we've got Boaton Blake, Jamison Maxwell, and Ty Lee. And guys, we've reached the end of the line for the regular season. Still got championship week, but we're here, and it's gonna be fun. I feel like rivalry week's always a good time, and with this week we decided to really throw a wrench in everything and make things a little bit different. So we're throwing it back to the era when the Big 12 was at its best, the early 2000s, the era we all grew up in, and because of it, we're kind of altering the formula a bit. You'll see some old Big 12 names. You'll see some a couple new ones, mainly playing the old ones, but should be a fun time. So before we get started, let's just kick this thing off. Blake, what are your thoughts on some of your new conference members being left out of the show?
It's a little concerning when you say the best era Big 12 football. The early 2000s is not what I think of. I think the conference really grew when we got rid of those Aggies, maybe some of those Cornhuskers, and we added a real man school down in Fort Worth that really anchored the conference. Last year's regular season champion, and of course, we added West Virginia, get some representation about out east. But hey, I'm excited. It's the last regular season. This season has flown by fast. And I was listening to our friend Josh Pate before the podcast, and he had said that, and this is one of the things I'll agree with him. There hasn't really been a volcanic week this year. There hasn't, as he describes it, like where all the good teams lose and like throws everything into hysteria. We really haven't had that. It's like kind of the top 5 or 6 have just like been steady, consistent. We've had a few scares here or there, but I just feel like that's gearing up for a final good 2-3 weeks of college football. Make things real interesting because stuff has to get sorted out. There's too many people at the top with no wins or one win, or no losses or one loss. I think it's going to get really dicey soon. So I'm excited. Jameson?
Yeah, I can't say it any better. Here's the thing. Like, did Bobby talk to us about changing up the Shield games? Did he talk to us?
I don't think talked about it. I think he just he did his usual sin the spreadsheet, and he'll probably say, "Oh, because I told y'all we were throwing it back to the mid 2000s." That was a good enough clue for you to understand.
Yeah.
Thank God he cooked and created like a really cool overlay right now on YouTube. So if y'all don't already subscribe to us on YouTube, come check this out. Bobby's absolutely cooked.
Yeah, it is gradients galore. I got the Spider-Man / PlayStation 3 font going. It looks like the 2000s just threw up right all over the screen. Anyways, Ty, what are your thoughts on this week of college football? Exciting stuff. But you're currently in last. Had a pretty solid week, continuing to climb. This looks to be a big week for you, I think.
Yeah, I've been closing in on Jamison a little bit. You guys threw me a bone there, believing in betting on DJU against a ranked opponent. I'm not really sure what was going on there. Dude got benched like the third drive, and then the other guy got benched, so they had to bring him back out. Absolute tomfoolery. But I'm feeling good. I made some mistakes last week, some silly mistakes. I should not have picked USC. I should have gone with the hater take against another bum quarterback, Drake May, and picked Clemson. I even talked about it on the pod and decided to go for love of the game and love of good offense, which USC did not bring against a coach who's about to be fired. That's an interesting situation. Not going to look good for Lincoln Riley's Texas A&M application, but I'm feeling good.
Yeah. That I will say that picking USC, that was a little rough, but it wasn't as rough as Jameson's Boko pick. Going back to the Boko well over and over again, man. What are you thinking? You know.
I don't know what I've done. I didn't know it could be this bad. Boko made national headlines this weekend. They made national headlines, and it was for all of the wrong reasons. And I feel horrible. Y'all been clowning me in the group text. Oh, Jameson, how could you do this? How could you, do this to yourself of going back to the Boko well? You already know it's a failure. Reverse it. This is what I'm saying. How could I have done this to Boko? I feel so bad for what I've done. This Boko team was doing so good. I was trying to put out positive vibes. I was trying to have fun with it. This team just got 77 put on them by Arkansas State and Butch Jones. 77. I feel horrible. And everything that you want to say to me, Blake, of calling me a ball not knower.
Yep, I was about to say that's what happens when a ball not knower
he was
hops
blinded
on
by
the bandwagon.
He was blinded by love.
We couldn't have imagined that, though. You know what I mean? Like, that was a blowout.
I'm a ball not knower. That I will take it. What else you got for me?
You can't
Blake?
reverse jinx your way out.
I warned I know you were recorded, so you couldn't have changed your mind, but I warned everybody. It's like, Arkansas State is a way different team after that OU game. Like, they actually figured stuff out, and they became a legitimate team again. They shed away those tears and form themselves out of a new cocoon, this Arkansas State team, which could actually compete in the Sun Belt. But yes, Jameson, we knew this. The ball not knower takes last week. You're always hiding from those recorded videos. You know you're putting out fodder out there that we're going to react, but you never have to stand trial for them. You just kind of throw it out there. You don't have to take the ridicule. You just move on to the next week. You don't take the consequences. I'm glad I'm having you here last regular week of the season, where I get to pin you down. I get to really put your takes to the test, and you got to stand by them. So,
I did have one Island Boy win. Obviously, the Baylor one didn't work out, but I did hit the Kansas one. I did feel good about that. And I was honestly really surprised that I was Island on the Kansas State pick.
I am very stunned that hit. I thought Kansas State was going to roll away with it, but I think Lance Leipold just
they're different. They're different in Lawrence, man.
Add it to the resume. They just seem to get up for games. Like, besides Texas, it just doesn't seem they get blown out all too much.
Yeah, and even without Jason Bean, really, they really stepped up. Very impressive, I would say, to say the least. They do not appear on the slate. But anyways,
do they have a chance of making the? They don't have a chance of making the Big 12 champion. Okay, good. I was
no.
They're
done. They're very done, especially now after losing K-State. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into this. So, just a little refresher on the standings. Blake is on top at 69 and 58. I'm right behind him at 66 and 62. Both of us had pretty rough weeks. I had a particularly rougher one because we were different on one item, and that was Tennessee for some reason. Jameson is 64 and 64. Ever stayed 500. What?
Talk about things that need to be atoned for.
Awful. that might have been the
That's
worst.
A ball not nowhere take.
That was I took the cheese. That was a really bad look, man. That was a really
There was
really
no
bad
cheese
look.
there. The trap had already sprung. We knew what Tennessee was.
Bobby crawled in between the trap and just put it on like it was some covers.
Like a blanket.
He took up the trap.
It was so
and
bad.
Blanketed that trap back
knew it
over
too.
him.
Like it was bad.
They
It
lost.
was bad.
They got beat into the ground by Mizzou. We knew it before the week before.
I was
the
feeling
signs
kind of
were.
good. I was feeling kind of good when they were like, Dolly Parton's going to be there. I'm like, okay, cool. There we go. This is the momentum we need. It did enough to just keep them in the game for the first quarter, but they're trash. That was a horrible mistake. Jameson's 64 and 64. It's staying 500 with a 5-5 week, and Ty at 62 and 66. He is 6-4. For those keeping track at home, we also, in addition to the wild card at the end of the show, we have a pot of greed pick. And Blake, you're the only one with one left. This is the last.
I have
week.
to use it. This is all the pressure is on me. This is not how I intended it when I was coming into the season.
Why did you remind him? He could have gotten the automatic L that we were talking
No, I knew I was going to have to do it. It wasn't like Bobby was like, oh, I knew I was going to have to do it, but I've been plotting and planning to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with
Bobby's
it because
the
I'm
kid
not
like,
really.
Teacher, we forgot
No.
to turn in our homework.
You should have. I'm telling you, Blake, you should have used it last week. You were right
should
on
have.
top of
I
that
knew.
Clemson one with me, and now we've got
And
a
you're-
stank slate that you're gonna have
Yeah.
to pick from. You're gonna have to pick you're gonna have to
stuck
pick
with
like
a pretty close
UNT -3 or something.
Who would pick that, Ty?
They get
All right.
1 point for each shade of green on their Texas flag.
Okay, let's dive into this slate and little I told the guys this ahead of time that the order was off, but it wouldn't be off for the rest of them. It's off for all of them. So we're
I
going to have to
knew
go
it.
in this.
Bobby
spent
wants
so
that.
much time
I was-
manipulating the order.
No, I was look, I started the base of this graphic package when I was leading and I forgot to change it. So we're going to go in like this weird little N
fine.
snake
It's fine.
method.
I'll still beat you anyways, Bobby. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't matter if you get that
Blake will
last
still
little
start,
I
but
advantage.
it's
need
going
you
to
to
look weird.
I need like an offer from Blake or Bobby this week just to make things spicy going into next week.
Oh my goodness.
If I go 0 for, it better be 0 for 10. I need another one. I'm chasing the high of either.
It'll be
I'm
0 for
chasing the
11
high
for
of
you.
either or 0 for 11. I'm chasing that high of a perfect week, regardless if it's in the win column or loss column.
Oh my God. Always going to be chasing that high. All right, let's move on to our first game, and let's just cut right to the chase. We're starting with the game. 11-0 Ohio State, 6-4-1 against the spread. They're heading to Ann Arbor to take on the Michigan Wolverines, who are also 11-0, 5-5-1 against the spread. Michigan favored by 4 at home at the Big House. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on Fox. Big noon kickoff on Saturday. Blake, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Oh, this is dirty. This is dirty. I don't know. Because we got, on one hand, we got the Michigan storyline, the stealing, the interim head coach coming in. They looked pretty good against Penn State. But the thing that's, like, worrying me, J.J. McCarthy just does not seem right. He was never right. He was never a good quarterback. We kind of all knew that from the inception. But Michigan fans tried to boost him up into something that he isn't. But then on the other side, we got Ohio State, we got Maserati Marv, Kyle Accord. It's the receiver's good, but quarterback bad. Can't really run the ball, but a good defense. Oh, this is hard. This is hard. This is hard. I'm going with the cheating SOBs, Michigan. I think they have Ryan Day's number. That's the one thing I think about Ryan Day. It's like he's nice, keeps it nice and stable. They don't lose to who they're not supposed to, but when it comes to this game, they can't beat them. I just think Michigan is on that level, and although they're doing this propaganda of like free Harbaugh and like we are the victims here, even though Michigan agreed to the settlement, they were the ones who were like saying, yes, we are fine with you suspending so long as you don't like peek into our program anymore, because they know it's significantly worse. That somehow works. Like Kirby Smart does it all the time. The good coaches, they can motivate their teams even though they're the top dog. Couldn't be any better. Still able to motivate them. I gotta go Michigan. There's something weird around it, but I'm going the Wolverines.
Yeah, Blake, I get it. And Michigan is the thing that they have over Ohio State year in, year out is their toughness. They seem to always just kind of outgrit the Buckeyes. And, you know, that first year completely ambushed them. Second year, a little bit tricky, but, you know, Michigan pulled through with the win at the shoe. I don't think I can see a world where Ohio State loses 3 straight to Michigan. I think they correct things and pull off a very, very sneaky good win. And, you know, I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. So, yeah, I'm going to take the points on this one. I'm going to go with the Bucks +4 to keep this thing close. I think we're in for a game for the ages. These two teams just do nothing but churn out some classic games. All right.
Oh,
Jameson's up next because of our weird system. So what do you have, Jameson?
Blake, I'm so happy that Bobby's starting off the 0 for 10 week very, very well.
There we go.
Give me some Michigan. I'm with the captain on this one. I've just been looking at this game for a while, and Michigan throughout this year, I've been very, very surprised with in terms of their offense, and I feel like they're just an absolutely dominant team. Ohio State, I've watched their games, and I go, There's some weaknesses here with Michigan. I haven't seen really a lot of that. I watch their games and I'm like, this team is damn good. Ohio State, I can find little cracks in their armor. So whenever you tell me Michigan's at home and there's some cracks in the Ohio State armor, it's going to be really hard for that Ohio State offense to, go out there and make big plays on the road versus Michigan defense. I think Michigan wins by 6.
Look, this is a lot of. I'm honestly surprised that this is over 3 points. I think that Michigan is the better team, but this is going to sound crazy for 4 points. I think 4 points is a lot of points to be throwing on both of these teams being undefeated, and then a rivalry game as big as this one. This is a massive, massive game. But I think one of the factors is they committed the cardinal sin with Michigan. The cardinal sin, it's in like the art of war and everything else. They hurt them, but they didn't actually punish them. All they did was light a fire under Michigan. Michigan, to be clear, has not played anyone. Penn State is not a tough opponent. Like, let's get this is not a bit. That's factual. They lose to anyone that has a pulse. Michigan has not played anyone. Has Ohio State played anyone? I don't necessarily know, but they've lit a fire under this Michigan team. And I think Harbaugh has, no matter what he's done to create it, created a system that can function even when he is not there on the sideline. He's still getting to practice with him. He's still getting the scheme and plan and everything else with this team. I think all they've done is light a fire under a team that I don't think that they're actually a national championship contender this year, but they are certainly a contender to beat Ohio State. I could see it going either way, but give me Michigan -4.
I was not ready for that. You never know where Ty's going.
How were you not ready for that?
I thought that was one of the more obvious Ty ones where he was going with that.
They've wounded Michigan, and it's only angered them.
You started off, and I thought you were going to go Ohio State, and then it went Michigan. I just wasn't ready.
Yeah, you just weren't looking for context cue.
I had to slip in an anti-Penn State. That wasn't an anti-Michigan by saying that they haven't played anyone. That was anti-Penn State.
Oh, okay.
I almost said that Ohio State played someone, but then I realized that was going to be giving credit to Notre Dame.
I need to listen better.
I guess so.
Michigan has experience not coaching like the first 3 games of the season or 4 games.
Harbaugh's been
they didn't coach
50% of the season.
Harbaugh's going to coach less games on the sidelines in the season than it's insane. He's going to be on the sidelines less than he actually is for being a head coach.
He's going to miss 6 games.
Yeah. If Michigan was fiscally smart, they'd look at his contracts and they wouldn't pay him any championship or playoff bonuses because they're like, oh, bro, you weren't here.
I love that Michigan wised up on this one, though. It's like he missed 3 games for buying some recruits some hamburgers, and then the Big Ten gave him 3 games for potentially altering the outcomes of games easily, and they just they saw the light. They're like, okay, this is a slap on the wrist. We can get this away immediately if we just take this.
Yeah, that whole situation is a mess. All right, moving on to our next game. It is the last Civil War game for a good while. It's the Oregon State Beavers, 8-3 overall, 6-5 against the spread. They're heading to Autzen Stadium in Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks, who are 10-1, 9-2 against the spread. You can find this one on ABC on Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Central. The Ducks favored by 14. And Ty, I'm sure you're just so ready to just rip into this to Oregon State, aren't you? And DJU.
Look, here's the thing. A fun fact that not very many people know is that Oregon State is the Beavers, but on their logo, as you can see there if you're watching on the video, it's actually a lemming. And it's actually all of my co-hosts on this podcast that continue to pick this 3-loss team, about to be 4-loss team that – honestly, I have no idea how they were as high as they were in the ranking. They were like the Pac-12's Ole Miss. Everyone knew that they shouldn't be there, but everyone was so tired by the time they got to them in the college football playoff ranking meeting that they were like, oh, I don't feel like arguing about it. Fine, we'll put them there. It's absurd that Oregon State is up here. Give me the Ducks all day. I don't understand how the Ducks lost to Washington at this point. This Washington team that's playing now that we just saw play Oregon State is not the Washington team that played Oregon. I think Oregon's gotten a lot better. I think Oregon is a more serious national title contender than Michigan is. Give me my Ducks. This is a bit of a homer take because I love the Ducks. Give me my Ducks minus 14 here. All bits about DJU aside. I think that there's a lot of media hype around Oregon State that they deserve because they got the short end of the stick. And I think the media and everyone else is trying to help them out. They are the underdogs. They're scrappy. They've been screwed over by the system. I understand that. They're not the football team that people think they are.
I'm struggling with this one because 14 is a lot of points, but I really think Oregon needs to be appreciated more, like Ty is saying. This team, I think, is the third most talented football team in the nation. Is that a hot take? Is it really hot? I don't think that it really is.
I don't think so.
I think it's just about right. I think the porridge is okay. I'm really, really stunned with this football team. Oregon State's momentum coming off that loss in Corvallis. I just think Oregon can get it here. I hate this. I hate this line. I would just stay away from this large of a point gap in a rivalry game like this. But just give me Oregon, I guess. I don't know.
This is stank. This is stank Jameson manipulating his picks to just go chalk with me so that I can't close the gap with him.
What do you mean? That the Michigan-Ohio State game was much harder to pick than this in terms of like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's my thing. I've been a big proponent of the Beavers this season. They let me down pretty big against Washington. Honestly, almost pulled off that win despite
I was like, we're acting like they got blown out. They lost by 2 points, against
after
they were the favorites.
Turnovers, which really says a lot about them. But the thing is, if you follow Oregon State enough, you know that when they go on the road, they look awful. They are not the same team on the road as they are at home. Because of that, I'm going to go with Oregon big. They understand the stakes. They understand the rivalry. And Dan Lanning doesn't strike me as a guy who underestimates teams, especially in moments like this. They know that Oregon State's going to be coming for their throats. I think Oregon wins it big.
This one's a hard one. Because I am an Oregon State lover. I love the Spooky Bees. Spooky Bees are always in my heart, but
it is a night game.
Ty's takes about DJU probably closer to the truth than not. And to address just one of Ty's points, this is just something because I was checking to see if Washington State was going to be on it. The Apple Cup is not. The national college football media is calling Washington the TCU of last year, which is just the most asinine thing whenever they had a Heisman, at least in the top 5 in the Heisman polls with a quarterback, and were ranked at the beginning of the season. This Washington team, although they've overperformed, have not come out of nowhere. They have not come, it is not surprising at the end of the day that Washington is going to be playing for a Pac-12 championship. It is not. It just simply is not. And I know this is about Oregon State. I was still impressed by Oregon State last week. They really limited, I know that Washington offense hasn't looked good for the past few weeks. It just seems like after they beat Oregon, they've kind of been on coasting mode, but still were able to contain them. I gotta be a true believer that rivalries, this many points mean something. Besides an Alabama, a Georgia, that can really suffocate you, and it's just suffocating everybody they're playing, 14 points just seems like a lot. It does. I think Oregon wins this one. I think that Oregon wins this one easy. Dan Lanning's an incredible coach, and I think Oregon's so well suited for this Big Ten move. They play with kind of that SEC physicality, and they recruit well out in the West Coast. Get good defense guys. They're kind of the antithesis of Lincoln Riley, of who in the style of player they're recruiting, and it's working out fantastically for them. They're going to be really good, and I think it's going to be a Washington-Oregon rematch, but I just think 14 points at the end of the day, way too much in a rivalry game. So, got to take the Beavs. I think the defense is too good to keep it close.
That's fair. All right, let's move on to our next ball game. We have massive one, especially if you're a Sooner fan. It's the Texas Tech Red Raiders, 6-5 overall, 5-6 against the spread, heading to Austin in the last edition of this rivalry to take on the Longhorns, who are 10-1 overall, first 10-win season in forever, and they're acting like it's their Super Bowl. And they're 5-6 against the spread. Texas favored by 13.5 here. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC on Friday. Ty, I saw you raised your hand there. What's up?
Yeah, I just want to say for those that are watching on YouTube, this is the first Big 12 game that we picked on this retro pod. And Bobby, you did such a great job with the graphics. This retro graphic, the Tech, the Texas, the Big 12, I got nostalgia from this Big 12 one. So great job with that. Wanted to give that a shout out.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. And it's funny because it's like these actually are just their logos, but they were the exact same logos in 2002. But the Big 12 is funky, and the weird little gradient buttons. And I don't know. I appreciate the shout out. That means a lot. Blake, kick us off here. Texas 13.5. Who do you got?
This one's a hard one because I think everybody outside of Texas fans are relying on Texas Tech to really pull through for us. You're kind of the last guardian to keep Texas out of the Big 12 championship. It would be the funniest thing ever, but this Texas Tech team sucks. I am sorry. I started believing them in the past few weeks. I started listening to Ball Not Knower Jameson that Baron Morton might actually be good. They barely beat UCF last week at home with the possum towels. I'm tired of this Tech team. They aren't pulling through whatsoever. I know they got a close win against Kansas, but it took them knocking out their starting quarterback. Jalen Daniels hasn't played a meaningful game in 2 years. Don't give me that. So knock out the starting quarterback. I don't care. I don't care if they've been 3-0 since the Possum. They barely beat a TCU team that was struggling. They barely beat a UCF team who is god-awful. God-awful. Give me Texas. Texas is just going to roll them. It's going to be sad. Every Big 12 school is just like, Texas Tech, do it for us. Texas Tech never pulls through when the lights are bright. We know this. They just get those random wins in week 3 that really screw up the season, really screw up the standings, but they can't pull through when the lights are brightest. I know this about Tech. It is the one defining thing, and it's just kind of a slap in the face to put this game on rivalry week. What rivalry? Texas Tech just stinks. A school with no rivals. Get them out of here. Give me the Longhorns. Hook them. Hook 'em, baby, because it's going to be a blowout. This is going to be bad. Oh, and Jameson, Tyler Shuck entering the transfer portal. I knew that guy was a bum to start, and he is a bum. I don't know how he has any years of eligibility left. This guy's been in college football for 6 years, and somehow in the transfer portal. But
well, it's clear whenever you see the talent of Baron Morton at the quarterback position, he knows that
Baron Morton stinks. He's going bar for bar with John Rice Plumlee, and that is an insult. That is not a compliment whatsoever. So yeah, get it out of here. I'm very. At least Tech's recent struggles has made me very optimistic about where they stand in the new Big 12, and it's right about where they are right now.
So here's my thing. All signs point to Texas not just winning this one, but covering it. And look, I can't get over the Yormark thing at the start of the season when we talked to the Red Raider Club and we're like, hey, I really need y'all to figure it out. I'm going to be at that last game in Austin. I don't know if they win the game, but 13.5, I don't know. Texas has kind of been playing with their food a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Red Raiders plus 13.5.
You know who else has been playing with their food? A team that is 6-5 right now, which makes absolutely no sense.
I don't think they're playing with their food, Blake. I think they're just bad.
Okay, it makes me feel even better.
Look, this is probably a Ball Not Knower take, but I'm going purely based on vibes here. I think Tech finds a way to keep this thing close.
Just say it, Bobby. You're a conspiracy theorist, Big 12 ref fan.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe I have Bobby making the Homer Shield take and Blake going all in on Texas here.
It's Freaky
Truly
Friday.
shocking. Bobby does have a point, though, with the Yomark thing. What did he know? With all the ref manipulation that we've seen, the fact that he just happened to know preseason that the last week was going to decide if Texas made it in or not does seem a bit suspicious.
It would be hilarious if it's just the most overt thing in the world. Like, even more overt than it actually is. Like, 3 Texas players are ejected in the first quarter. Like, I want to see, like, the 3 pumps Key and Peele sketch type of reffing when it comes to this game. Like, that's exactly what I need.
Longest yard level.
Yep, that's what I need. That's what I need for this game.
So Quinn Ewers will try to beam the ref with the ball, but he'll miss because he's Quinn Ewers.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, my pick, Ty. I need you to help me out with this one. Can I get one horn up on the right, one horn up on the left? Come on, bring him up.
Come on, Blake.
We got some horns up. No, really, what it is like, oh man,
oh, there it is.
How did you do that?
Oh. If you put up horns up, you get the disco lights. So hold on. So everyone had horns up, and then Blake's. Okay.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. This is why y'all gotta watch on YouTube. We have no idea how this is happening, but Blake keeps getting these disco rainbow lights that go up every single time he puts double horns up. I have no idea how this happens. We've seen it once before. We'd have no idea. But all I know is Ty and I's hands were up with horns up in the air, so it can't be us who have been doing special effects. So it's all
look, if I knew how to do that, I would be overusing it like crazy.
How does this keep happening? Here's the thing that makes it even funnier. There's a chance that's just a camera feature. So if you're ever in like a work meeting and you do that, then
just throw up the double horns.
What's
up
the scenario where Blake's doing the double horns up in his?
I don't know, but if it why? It's incredible.
Okay, that's why y'all gotta watch on YouTube. Okay, so I'm gonna pick Texas just because I think they're gonna get ahead really early, and all of the fans trying to hope for a non-Texas Big 12 championship are gonna be like, oh, this sucks. I waited, looking forward to this night game for this whole time, and I have to watch Texas already up 17-0 at the beginning of the second quarter. I just can see it. Give me Texas.
Look, Quinn Ewers is in fact a bum. Like, give me Texas. I wish they had the backup quarterback in. I would take them minus 21, but give me Texas minus 13.5.
What's the spread of this game if Baron Morton's the quarterback for Texas, Ty?
Is Quinn Ewers playing for Tech in that situation?
Maybe. Sure. Let's
28. 28. And the line moves up.
Incredible. All right, let's move on to our next game. We've got this one's just weird. It's Iowa, 9-2 Big West champs Iowa, 5-1 against the spread with this derpy Hawkeye Tiger Hawk logo that they ended up rejecting because it's horrible. They're heading to Nebraska, this is apparently a rivalry game, to take on the 5-6 Huskers, who are 4-6-1 against the spread. Iowa favored by a measly 1. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on CBS on Friday. Ty, kick us off. Who do you like?
Is there a way to just pick the under? The real way you win this one is by doing everything you can to not watch this. But gosh, I like the Huskers. This is weird. I did not prepare for this one. I like the Huskers, right? I think Rule is a sneaky little coach. I think Nebraska has a lot more to play for. You're talking about a team and a fan base that still has tremendous buy-in, even after they entered the dark ages by going to the Big Ten. I have no idea. In retrospect, you're like, what were they thinking? But give me Nebraska to clinch bowl eligibility in this rivalry game. Because we're basically picking outright at -1. So yeah, give me Nebraska outright.
I don't freaking know. Here, Iowa's already clinched, but it's just this Nebraska team, ain't it? Chuba Purdy is their quarterback now, which actually might be a good thing. Iowa, screw it. Iowa, I don't have anything. I can't talk about this. Just move on.
So Blake is currently gone, so I'll go ahead and talk.
It was your turn anyway.
It's your turn anyways.
It is my turn anyways. You're right. I forgot about the weird situation I have put myself in. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Nebraska as well here. They're playing for bowl eligibility, as you mentioned, massive deal. They're playing at home, really good crowd, and I mean, like, Iowa's not gonna do anything by winning this game. Nothing happens, nothing changes. Motivation factor is not there, and they're not even that great in the first place. I think Rule, great motivator. He's going to do enough to get them fired up and get this cover. The line I've actually seen kind of creeping more towards Nebraska still. I think it's in I think ESPN's market actually has it at Nebraska -1. So things are wild.
Are you talking about ESPN Bet?
Probably ESPN Bet, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty ESPN Bet manipulating the markets. That's going to be the storyline for next season. It's the misinformation that's going to come out of that company now to sway gambling lines is going to be ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous.
It's going to be wild. But yeah, I'm going to go with Nebraska +1 here.
Okay. Ooh, this one's a hard one. I like this, though. I like this. If it's going to be bad games, put some hard lines on there. I'm going Iowa. It makes no sense. This team just seems to win. It's like last week versus Illinois. They're like a 2-point favorite. I don't get it. I don't care how bad Illinois played. I've seen Iowa. They still win. This team just like really likes Brian Ferentz, which makes no sense. Like he's been a horrendous offensive coordinator, but they're calling timeouts at the end of the game so the players can all hug him. They just still play. Like, that's the thing about Iowa football. They win games. They win games, not in a great manner. Like, I couldn't imagine being an Iowa fan. But they win games. And that's why I don't, like, they want to move on from Kirk as well. Because they're like, oh, the new changes with the Big Ten, yada, yada, yada. He just finds a way to win in the ugliest manner. It's not fun. It's pure sickos football. But they win games. And yeah, Nebraska has done great. 5 wins for them. Honestly, that's something you can hang your hat on. I just feel like Iowa's going to keep like getting to that 10-win mark would be awesome for them. And I think something that Kirk can use for years and years to come to keep them there. So give me the Hawkeyes.
All right. Blake is an island boy with Iowa. So
wrong. I'm on Iowa.
Oh, never mind. We're split. My apologies. All right, our next game. It's the Texas A&M Aggies, 7-4, 5-5-1 against the spread. They're heading to Death Valley to take on the LSU Tigers, who are 8-3, 7-4 against the spread. LSU favored by 10.5 here. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ESPN on Saturday. Blake, kick us off here. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, this one's licking my chops, but I would have taken A&M like a few weeks ago. I don't care about the Jimbo stuff. I think they have a solid defense. Max Johnson is still capable. But some of the recent antics, both sides, has like swayed me the other way. So let's start on the A&M side. They put out a graphic that said they are like 21-0 against Texas teams since 2013, and it all consisted of G5 schools. It was like not a single Power 5, and the only Power 5 school that was on there was Sam Houston State, while they were still in the FCS. Like the insane amount of misinformation coming out about that program, and also the fact that they, like, I wouldn't say like struggled, but only beat Abilene Christian by 28 at home. They're doing weird things. They did the all walk-on lineup for the kickoff and stuff like that. They're just trying to get like the traditions, that sort of boost, which I don't like. That means you're playing bad players. And LSU just seems to be all in. They know they can't do anything this year. They know, like, even bowl game, it doesn't really matter. They're just trying to post Daniel's Heisman campaign. They're doing anything and everything they can just to run up points on people. They're scoring at an amazing clip. And their defense is still not good. That's the thing. But they are going to keep him in this game. Like, there's I don't think a chance for a backdoor cover just because they're going to keep him running, throwing just to rack up those stats. I'm going to take this is hefty, 10.5 in a game that I feel like is typically very close, but give me LSU. They're just going to just keep throwing the ball, running the ball, even if they're up big, just so they can get Daniels the Heisman. That's all they care about now.
Yeah, LSU obviously putting up numbers in bunches here, and yeah, you have that 0.5, little weird, but overall, A&M, I don't have any faith in them in terms of what they're doing. I imagine they're pretty checked out at this point. LSU, if there's anything I know about them, they're going to put up points, and A&M's offense doesn't scare me at all. So LSU minus 10.5 is the play.
Yeah, and Max Johnson's been out the past 2 weeks for Texas A&M too. So
I haven't been paying attention to them at all.
yeah, give me LSU, and my point was exactly going to be what Blake was saying. I think that they just lay it on with Jaden Daniels, and just like he's going to continue to get a bunch of points for this LSU football team in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, like Jameson said, Blake, I couldn't have said it better myself. Somehow Pate is gonna clip this and go on a rant about how Texas A&M is an elite job because we picked against them. I don't think it is, right? It's not an elite job. Nope. because the donors,
12
right?
over them easy.
You can put all the money in the world, everything else you want. The million different donors having their hands and everything does not create an elite job. Like Iowa is more of an elite job than A&M because you can just go like float through, get tenure, collect a couple million each year.
But see, I think it's elite for coaches because of that buyout. Like, they're not going to give the Jimbo deal, but they're going to match something pretty similar. That's going to make you generational wealth, even if you
I don't know, dude. If I'm Urban Meyer, I'm looking at, I bet I can double the Jimbo buyout and do it in 2 years. But all joking aside, yeah, LSU. I'm not big on Daniels. I'm not necessarily that big on LSU, but I think right now, again, the Heisman campaign, they're just going to stay on the gas. It's another thing that Oregon has going for them. Lanning likes to stay on the gas, and they're trying to boost Heisman campaign for Bo Nix. Give me the Tigers minus 10.5.
All right, sweep for the Tigers there. Moving on to our next game. It's the Missouri Tigers, 9-2 overall, 7-4 against the spread. They're heading to Arkansas to take on the Razorbacks, 4-7, 5-6 against the spread, and they're going to retain Sam Pittman as well. Which is I don't know if it's a wild move because I like him. I think he's a good
no, it's not
fit.
Wild.
Missouri favored by 7 here. You can find this one 3 p.m. Central on CBS on Friday. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Neither of these teams deserve an explanation. Give me Missouri strictly business.
Yeah, it's Missouri. Same thing on my end. Blake's been kind of been a hater this whole year, but I've watched a couple of their games, and for my eye test, there's been some things that I've liked. For my eye test with this Arkansas football team, I don't have much to say. So give me Missouri minus 7 here.
Yeah, I test as well. Mizzou, they're gritty. They find ways to win. Should have lost to Florida, but made it happen. I don't see Arkansas really posing much of a threat at all. Not a good team. So give me Mizzou minus 7.
You're telling me after they announced that they're bringing back this man, this glorious, glorious man, that they aren't really zoom in, that they're not going to cover. Hey, they're not going to cover? You're telling me that? No way. Give me the Razorbacks. I love the juice around this program right now. Bringing back the man that has given them probably one of their best seasons in recent history. And that's saying something because, Arkansas, bad program. They are going nowhere in this new SEC. But Mizzou, frauds. We saw it last week. Florida taking them on the tight ropes. We've known this. Mizzou is the mid-level of the SEC. If they are towards the top, the SEC is not that good this year. And I've been saying that all year. I think they're just the most average-looking team. Sam Pittman and those 2 jugs of energy are going to get that team up. Looking. Give me the Razorbacks. I feel very, 7 points too on the road versus this Missouri team struggling at the end of the year. Eli Drinkowitz, the most cringe. He doesn't get enough credit for being the most cringe coach in college football with his standing on business quote. Like he is purposely just like Googling what are the kids saying these days and just trying to sprinkle them in. I've always hated him there. I've hated him there. Average team. Give me the Razorbacks, 7 points. Ooh, that one's good. Thank you for gifting me that. Just a quick round robin gift to me. Easy.
Yeah. Bad. Jameson, do you have anything to say on Drinkwitz, or are we moving on?
No, the guy's stupid. Just move on.
Yeah, he's a bozo. All right, moving on to our next game. We have the BYU Cougars, 5-6 overall, 4-7 against the spread. They're headed to Stillwater to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 8-3, 7-4 against the spread. This one, massive for Big 12 championship implications. OSU favored by 17.5. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Blake, who do you like?
Yeah, this one's relatively easy for me. We talked about it, even though Boomer Blake, which we'll have to address later, I felt, the team let me down this week. I had that pulse to last week. I thought BYU was a whole bunch of walking nothings, but I did say, I'm like, the one place they play well is at home. They just have some magical energy there, that they can keep games close, that they can win games. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's something in those Cougar tales, who knows what, but give me OSU. I think this one's going to be a blowout. It worries me a little bit that OSU just seems to, they've been gifted a chance at the Big 12 title, and every single week goes out there, and it's just like trying to give it away to anybody who wants it. Like, the final score last week with Houston is not indicative of how that game was going. Like, Houston was in that game, and OSU came out with a good cover, like, good win by 13 points, but they seem to want to gift it away to anybody that comes through that door. But I just think this BYU team's so bad. Like, even I thought Keaton Slovis was a bad quarterback. Their new guy, just dreadful. That's why I'm very sad about my Sooners. But I think we have an interesting race in the Big 12, and I think it's just going to get locked up by this one. So give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, surely they don't, right? Like, surely OSU doesn't blow it. Like, there's no way. No way OSU blows it, right? Like, no way. BYU, they had a pretty good moment last week against OU. That was a home game, senior night, big old Oklahoma comes into town. You're going to play them tough. But on the road in a tough environment like Stillwater, with all of that on the line, there's no way Oklahoma State, a team never known for choking, blows it. There's no way they blow it. Now, it's not like people have referred to them as the choking pokes in the past. So I'm going to go with a resounding Oklahoma State minus 17.5 because there's no way they blow it. Jameson, who do you like?
I think BYU covers this. I agree, Bobby. I think that this Oklahoma State's trying. I know. 17.5 is a lot of points, guys. I think BYU can at least stumble their way into covering this. Oklahoma
Their
State,
starting quarterback has a 50% completion percentage and like the same TD to interception ratio. He's so bad. Like we give the Steel Lung a lot of grief and how he hasn't been the best, but they're taking it to new levels. It's so bad. BYU's so bad.
I think that there's somehow, some way that they're going to barely cover this thing. It's not a smart pick. This is ball, not nowhere. To be honest with you, I've picked the favorite so far this whole pod. It's time to pick an underdog. Give me 17.5 BYU.
Blake, you should have been there on the last pod when these two were hyping up BYU's quarterback and his stats against OU, which were like 53%, 2 touchdown, 1 interception, and like a 60 QBR.
He is horrendous.
It was like a career game for him. He had a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
His only fan besides his parents seems to be Darren Rovell, which is like everything I need to know.
Is that surprising to you?
Nope, it's not surprising. So I know everything about that. I know everything about that man started at QB at BYU just from those facts.
I will say, based on performances against OU, BYU does have the better running back, but I got to go with the Pokes here. I was kind of on the fence, but I got to go with the strategy here. I have to be different than Jameson on some of these. I do. I like it,
okay.
right?
All
I like
right.
it. That is a
You're
lot
gonna
of
play
points.
that game, huh?
That is a lot of points, but I like the Cowboys. It's in Stillwater. If this were in Utah, the line wouldn't be that big, but I'd probably look at a BYU upset. I think maybe there's some hangover. They're going to Stillwater. Give me the Cowboys.
If OSU doesn't cover, they might as well lose because the crowd shots. Oh, the crowd shots would be amazing from that game.
Beautiful. I need it, especially because they would know like what the result of the OU game would be, so they would know they would know they missed it, like they blew it. So that'd be pretty funny.
If BYU was bowl eligible, I might just leap off a roof like that. It would not sit right with me that stank BYU is somehow bowl eligible, but TCU is not. Like it is.
Forgot that there's a rivalry there. You guys
Like
are having
it just
a
would
stank
not.
off.
It is so like they are so bad. Like they are really. I really do think like Cincinnati's better than them. I know BYU beat them, but I still think Cincinnati is somehow better than this BYU team. I just think this BYU team's, I think, is league worst. I think they are horrendous. I really do. I know there's head-to-head results that say differently, but I think BYU's bad.
You think they're worse than
They're not
Cincy?
worse than
I think so. I think
No,
so.
that's a
played
ball
each other
not
on
nowhere take.
They
They played each other at BYU's little mystical palace. Yeah, but everything changed with the most like horrendous muff punt that I've ever seen. That like the guy was surprised the ball came at him. It hit him in the chest. Like he was surprised that he had to catch the ball. I don't get it. Like I stand by that take. I think Cincinnati somehow is better. This BYU team's so bad. They're so bad.
Win, and it's Houston.
I know. It just I have no respect for this BYU team whatsoever. I have no respect for them and Jake Retzloff or whoever it is. No respect. They're so bad.
Oh God! All right,
Fingers crossed.
Moving on to our next game. This is a big one. It's the last continuous Farmageddon between Iowa State, 6-5 overall and against the spread, and Kansas State, who is 8-3 and 7-4 against the spread. This one being played in Manhattan, Kansas. K-State favored by 11.5. You can find this one 7 p.m. Central on Fox. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
This one is like it's not funny. It's a tragedy that this continuous rivalry is going away, but it is objectively funny that the rivalry is going away and they're staying in the same conference. Like that's just extreme goofiness to occur. All that being said, I don't think they're that good. It pains me to have to give Iowa State some credit here. I think Iowa State is not necessarily that bad. They're just constantly that team. They're that team that's going to develop people and going to put out performances above what their talent should. Give me Kansas State.
Oh my God. All right, it's Kansas State for me here. Kansas State at home, Iowa State. Some people might say that this matchup is actually the battle for the third best team in the Big 12. So we'll learn a lot from this. So
well, Bobby, that take is going to be proven true because it's going to be like Texas at the top and then like a 7-way tie for second, the way this tiebreaker works out. And then Iowa State's actually going to be the third.
It'll be third. Yep.
I think they would just be like 8 then.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a golf,
third,
like a golf tiebreaker. It's like if
I hate that.
five people are tied for second, it means the next person's 7th.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Iowa State. I'm gonna.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I'm going to die on this hill. They did not look great against Texas. They had their moments, but they couldn't capitalize on offense. Rocco Becht, my man. What? Come on, man. You had something going, and it just we could have had it. You could have had it, but the offense just is awful. I was not impressed with Kansas State as well against Kansas's backup third string quarterback. That's a game that was really out of their control for a large part of that game. Had to make a bit of a rally. I'm going to go Iowa State to cover 11.5 here. I don't think they win, but I think they get a cover.
Oh, this is two teams I get bamboozled by all the time. I listen to Jameson chirping in my ear, Rocco Beck's good.
The second time that Blake said this podcast, he's listened to my takes, but he keeps calling
No,
me a
it's just you constantly chirping about it. I'm like, is there some truth? No, like Rocco Beck he seems like a nice guy. Very, very average quarterback. But then K-State, what are you doing? You're starting Will Howard, and you're only starting Will Howard. K-State was the first school in, I think, a long time that actually had a 2-quarterback system that could work. Avery Johnson is a really good change-of-pace quarterback for them that can throw the ball enough to make it dangerous, but also is a speedster. I think Avery Johnson is probably the better of the two at the end of the day. And if, like, Kansas State wanted to be elite, they're not putting Will Howard out there. This is pure spite against Chris Klieman, the most overrated coach in college football. That bum can't seem to get out of his own way. Whenever he actually has to coach, he makes all the wrong decisions. Whenever he has to make strategic moves on his roster and he doesn't have that little man named Deuce Vaughn, he just can't seem to do it. 11.5 points, too many for Chris Klieman, who's going to roll out Will Howard. He's going to have 3 picks, and they're still not going to go to Avery Johnson because this dummy can't seem to realize that they have a system there that would have made him elite, that would have beaten Texas, that would have beaten them if they hadn't gone for 2 points when they had the momentum. I keep on reminding people that, like, K-State can't use that as a moral victory because they would have won that game. They just played the game out because they were beating Texas outright on the field in that second half. I'm tired of that bum Chris Klieman. Give me Iowa State. I think they keep it close, if not win. Chris Kleiman's going to make some dumb decisions. Just make himself look like a fool once again.
Incredible. All right, let's move on to our final game, and it's a big one. It's a sentimental one for all of us here at the Weekend Spread in the Schooner Pod because it is the final showdown that we have on the books between the TCU Horned Frogs and the Oklahoma Sooners. Frogs, 5-6 overall, and 5-6 a good spread. They're heading to Norman to take on the Sooners, who are 9-2, seeking a 10-win season, 7-4 against the spread. Sooners favored by 12.5 here. Can find this one 11 a.m. Central on Fox on Friday. So a bit of a weird weekday game here. So, Blake, usually annually we have you on, talk about the game overall, so didn't get to do that on the main Schooner Pod this week, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit here. So, just want to get your thoughts on this matchup. What's your temperature like going into what is a big game, and what are your feelings about this game going away?
Yeah, there's, like, things I love, things I hate, like, about this TCU squad, and it's, like, really highlighted last week. Hoover's got me back in. Like, Hoover's definitely the future, and I think, like, the fact that Chandler Morris played a few snaps at the end of that game when things got out of hand, it's like, they know in that building that Hoover is the better player. The good thing is, things are starting to slow down for him a little bit. He's starting to hit those receivers. He's not making as many mistakes. Like, he feels a little bit more comfortable with it. The thing that worries me, and I know OU struggled with this all year, the play calling. The play calling, both offensive and defensive side. Defensive side, I'm worried in the sense that I just don't think we have the guys. We don't have the play calling, nor do we have the guys. I think our secondary is still really good. You're going to have some NFL guys on that side of the ball, but besides that, we can't generate pressure to save our lives. It's like Joe Gillespie came in, did the 3-3-5, really hasn't seen success at all with it. Like, we kind of got some resistance at the end of last season versus Texas, and then Michigan, like, although that was like blowout, made some key plays, but it seems like mostly the secondary's doing that. They can't generate that pressure up the middle. It doesn't seem like the D-line's got it. The linebackers are all right, but it's just like schematically, we don't ever get those guys flying towards the quarterback. Would put Dylan Gabriel in a bad spot. So, worried about that. Offensive side play calling, about the same. We both have offensive coordinators that came from the Briles tree. On 4th and 1, they are somewhat addicted to doing the jet sweep. We did it last week. 4th and 1 in our red zone, and we did just the most mind-boggling play. And like that's I think kind of the crux of this TCU offense is we've learned like our interior line can't do anything. It's like our center and our two guards. We can't. Amani Bailey's probably the best player on that TCU offense, but teams have figured out that just like sell out for the run, kind of settle back and hope Hoover makes mistakes. Because if we don't run it to the outside, Amani Bailey's getting like a yard a game. Like we've seen it. Like he was fantastic at the start of the year. And like last week, I think he averaged like 3 yards a carry, not doing anything. Oh, but then it comes down to I actually have to make the pick. I have to make the pick. 12.5, Boomer Blake, but also my love for TCU, my love for Hoover. And I think last week was just the perfect game to just get me bought back in. I know it was Baylor. I know it's trash. I know they are a horrendous football team. But some of the stuff I was seeing, and I just like think back to that OU Kansas game. It was just like, OU secondary great, but they just forget that the middle of the field exists, and it's like we're throwing guys like J.P. Richardson, Savion Williams across the middle, and finally, after me screaming from the rooftops, Jared Wiley, a tight end that's, I think, going to be starting in the NFL. That guy is great. He can block well. He can run routes good, and he's pretty, like, I wouldn't say, like, speedy, but he's, like, good for a tight end in open space and stuff like that. Finally unleashed him, our leading receiver last week. I got to take the Frogs. I think 12.5 is too much. I think OU, there's weakness there. And that's what I have to convince myself is that I always think of OU as this Lincoln Riley, this Bob Stoops juggernaut that always beats us. But last year, I got that first sniff of blood. And although we are complete crap this year, we stink. It's just like, I see y'all struggle against BYU, and I'm like, why can't that be us? Like, can we make them struggle? I know BYU, mystical powers up in the mountains, they can keep things close, but I've seen it against UCF. I've seen it against even, like, Cincinnati, just kind of, like, they were never in that game, but, like, they can limit, and I'm like, those are bad teams. I'm like, why can't that bad team just be us? That we get to that scenario with UCF, that we have a chance to tie the game and actually run a competent second down play, or second 2-point conversion play, and Bryles won't be able to run one of those, but maybe there's a chance that the dice roll our way. I gotta go the Frogs. It would be just hilarious leaving the Big 12. Y'all lose to OSU, you lose to TCU. Like, basically all your friends back home, all their schools that they went to, just has one over you for some reason. The memes would be great. The hysteria. It'd make me feel good going into Saturday if I knew OU wasn't going to Arlington just because it was because of us. And I want to go to a bowl. I really want to. It's going to be the worst bowl game imaginable that they would put us in, and I don't care. I just really want to go to a bowl. It doesn't make sense that UCF is probably going to go to a bowl. It doesn't make sense that some of these other really bad teams that we are better than, that we just never got the opportunity to play, are going to go to a bowl. So I want to do that. So give me TCU.
Also,
UCF
Blake, You got time. I was going to say, just to clarify, it sounded like you maybe weren't 100% on it, but Dylan Gabriel probably not going to play.
Oh, he's not? Oh,
we don't know. I don't think we know. But
Jackson Arnold's the better quarterback. Okay, Jameson, explain.
We are legitimately recording this on Sunday, so the day afterwards. And so the bad part about like college, we can't know if he's in concussion protocol. Like NFL, if the player's in concussion protocol the next day. So just for a guy who's had a history of a concussion that kept him out for multiple games on a short week, I just don't see it where he's going to make it out in time.
Ooh la la. But I don't honestly, but that scares me though. It's like Jackson Arnold, I think is a talent. Like I think I thought like kind of after the Kansas game, just roll him out there and like see what your future has. Like I know the goal was to still, even after the loss of Kansas, you're still in the Big 12 race. But he's good. He is good. But hey, the young guns, I know with Josh Hoover, the future, they can go out there and make some mistakes early. So,
and that's the thing, is you're talking about BYU and their mystical powers, in Provo. But whatever that is, TCU has the exact opposite whenever they go on the road. They have one road win this season, and it was to a pathetically bad Houston team. And to me, I don't see TCU really having it where they can walk into Norman and get a win like this. They haven't performed well at all on the road. This OU team feels a lot better when they're at home. Lebby, whatever it is with his system, feels a little bit more comfortable. I think we see Jackson Arnold air it out a little bit more now that he has a week to prepare, game plan around Arnold. I think Oklahoma has a chance to really unleash on the Frogs here. I'm not too terribly afraid of what Hoover can do. He makes a lot of mistakes, and look, if OU's defense gets to him early and it forces them into mistakes, this environment's going to be pretty intense. It's going to be pretty exciting. This is, I believe, TCU's third trip out of the state this year, so there's that too. Ultimately, I think TCU underperforms on the road. I know they're going to be fired up to try to be bowl eligible. Sonny Dykes clearly has him, pretty fired up. Just looking at the videos and stuff, right after their win on Saturday. But yeah, it's Sooners big here. OU minus 12.5 is a play. Put Jackson Arnold out there. Put Gabriel out there. It doesn't matter to me. I think OU. OU's pulling through.
I think it would matter. I think
more of a decent safety thing, Bobby.
the line would be that too.
I mean, don't put him out there if he has spaghetti brain. But
Bobby wants
actually do that. Do that.
Don't do that.
Like, it would probably be 17.5 if we had Dylan Gabriel. That's probably where I think it would be.
See, Blake, the difference is that we don't trust Jackson Arnold. They let him throw 9 passes the entire half. And then every other time he's played this year, he really hasn't been given the nod for passes.
By we, that means Jeff Lebby. There's no we here.
Yeah, he got thrown in.
Okay, yes, obviously.
But I get it, because it was a rainy game, bad circumstance, had to just kind of be thrown in
I mean,
there.
that's understandable. But DG got 20 plus looks in the same, span of time in the same weather. And then, like I said, just obviously steeper learning curve at the beginning of the season, but we didn't really throw with him all that much at the beginning. Like it didn't seem like we're really trying to trust or teach him anything. It's just kind of like, keep him in the bubble wrap or something.
It's about survival, I guess, honestly. But
I think we'll be pretty one-dimensional on Saturday, but I think that's good enough to get this cover. I think Jeff Lebby's system, it works really well at home. We've seen it. And then also TCU.
Are we sure about that? Are we sure? We keep saying that, but it's like you beat Cincinnati by 14. You go to the wire with UCF. I know you had
Cincinnati
some
was on the road.
Oh, was? Shoot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The worst possible thing that can happen in this game for both teams is that one team runs a successful jet sweep in the first quarter because both coordinators are going to be chasing it the whole time.
Hey, if it works, why don't we just keep doing it?
Nope. The Gavin Freeman strategy.
Oh my God.
Maybe
just because that one bubble screen worked that one time, that doesn't. It drives me nuts. It's like they break a bubble screen for 10 yards. They're like, this is a successful first down play. We can go to this every single time.
Josh Heupel built his whole career on that.
Yeah, I think, but really what it comes down to is I think this game was going to hit the under, like Ty said in our preview pod earlier. I think this is going to control the narrative, but I think our defenses should step up and get some turnovers here. We have been really, really good about forcing turnovers. Like Blake said, Hoover's the kind of guy that wants to go out and make the big plays. Unfortunately, we got really, really good safeties. So if he tries to
how are y'all against tight ends? That's what I'm curious about.
Not good.
Have we?
Because I feel like I only have the Kansas game in my mind, and I don't want to dilute it because I'm
underuse them against us.
No, I feel like we haven't been beat up by tight ends. It's usually been star outside wide receivers that have gotten us.
Good to know, because I just think back to the Kansas. It's just the seam route up the middle that OU just does not seem to cover. It just seems like that's always there. It does.
No,
I'm pretty sure Red River was only so close because like the exact same play.
Oh yeah, you're right. They did have tight ends, but like it wasn't like we got like bludgeoned by the tight end. They just
This is true. Yeah, we didn't get like they didn't have like Kelsey out there against us. Or,
It's not like the old Iowa State days, where they're just killing us. Yeah,
Charlie Kohler just has like 15 catches. Yeah,
making that man look like Gronk out there.
Now, I think we control the narrative of this game. I think it's lower scoring. I think hopefully our defense is starting to get a little bit healthier. We play aggressive. We push TCU into turnovers. We get ahead early and run the clock, and then we're going to blink and we're going to be like, are you kidding me? This game's over already, and we're going to be so mad. And just be like, I don't want it to end, and it's going to be really sad. So give me OU here by 17 in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, what Blake laid out as sort of the script for TCU to beat OU, I think is broadly OU's script to beat TCU. It's what we talked about a little bit on the previous pod before he hopped on. It's put pressure on the quarterback through the linebackers because the D-line probably isn't going to do it. Trust your secondary to make turnovers here and there because TCU is going to be playing a higher risk, higher reward, potentially passing strategy with Hoover. And then I think, that offensively, OU just needs to control the time of possession. I think we got very lucky with this, what has occurred in this line bumping down because we have a quarterback who can make plays if we trust him to. And we have the running back room now, especially against TCU, to be able to really dominate time of possession and control this game. So like Jameson said, I think this one is over pretty quickly. And I think that OU is sort of forced to utilize some tools that we've been underutilizing all year in play calling and in personnel. And I think we get the cover on this one if we can do the right things on defense.
All right. There we go. That is...
I hope this one's a good one. I hope it is. Just like, keep me in it as long as possible. It could happen.
Oh god.
It just sucks that the last 5 quarters of football that I've watched of TCU has actually been good. But it's the recency bias because it's like last game was good and then fourth quarter against Texas was fantastic. So I'm like, can we just have that for 4 quarters in one game? 4 quarters in one game. Also, did y'all know the Blue Bonnet Battle Trophy was a shield?
No, I mean, I didn't know it until I saw it afterwards. We had kind of mentioned it. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, it's just like, it's, the graphics on it are horrible, like, don't get me wrong, but like, why don't you market that? A shield is actually cool. Like, it's a cool, like, having a wearable trophy is cool, but they somehow botched the rollout of this rivalry so bad that they didn't even highlight the one cool part that they actually made of the trophy. Like, if the trophy just had something different on it, I would probably be fine with it, because, like, I was looking for that, like, shiplap-looking wood pedestal, like a hawk, and, like, to just boo it. They did not do any trophy ceremony after, because I know they knew what the crowd reaction was gonna be on both sides. Like, it was just gonna get booed to infinity, and so they gave it to, like, one of our offensive linemen, who was, like, slyly getting it there, but when I saw it without the wooden base, I'm like, is that a shield? And then, of course, I see the videos in the locker room, and I'm like, it is! They didn't market that at all. Like, the shield part is cool, like, just the function of it, the graphics on it still suck, but I don't get the whole rollout of that one. Like, they actually had one cool part about it, and they just never highlighted it.
Yeah, that was a botch job, because the shield is cool. Like, walking around with it's kind of neat. This big, Chip and Joe, like, I don't know, Captain America shield.
I'm ready for the game to get chippy, like, afterwards, like a big brawl, and somebody try to Captain America throw that thing at a player. Ooh, I am ready for that. I am ready.
That's great. All right, guys, we ready for our favorite pick of the week?
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, God! Brakes, guys, I can't stop this van!
It's time for our wild card picks, where we get to make a pick from the remaining college football games. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Look, there is a cardinal sin for me that I always commit. I always stray from what I know is right on the weekend spread. It's how I always end up in these positions. I'm like, it'd be really funny. The worst possible thing for me this year was going on an island for that Colorado outright win against TCU that I hit, because then I just continued to go for these like funny slam dunks every week, and I've stacked up the losses. I need to go back to what I know best, and that is picking based on being a hater. There's nothing more fun than being a hater in college football and picking against people and kicking teams while they're down. It's the greatest joy out there. And I'm conflicted on this one, right? I thought about going green eggs and ham. I really did. But I have to go with one where I actually hate both teams. Rare situation where I'm picking one where I hate both teams, because picking based on love has not worked out well for me this year on the wild card. So what is a game where I hate both teams? You know it's going to be in the Big Ten. Who's a team that we can kick while they're down? Michigan State deserves to be kicked. They deserve to continue to be kicked. Worst organization, like actual loss of organizational control and serious issues going on. They're focusing on the wrong team in the state of Michigan. What do we know about Penn State, who is playing Michigan State? Penn State is not a good team. They are objectively not a good football team. Every time they get challenged, they play like garbage. But what do? They smoke bad opponents in conference, and then they have their student body of like 500,000 people, and then their alumni base of legitimately over 2 million people. You can look it up. Just shout down anyone online that gives any sort of criticism towards them or their coach who sucks or anything else. Penn State is going to roll into this one. I should clarify, Penn State favored by 20. Penn State is going to roll into this one. They're going to absolutely smoke Michigan State. It's not going to be fun to watch as a Michigan State fan. Good. They deserve it. It's not going to be fun to watch unless you're a Penn State fan, because it's going to be Big Ten football. Give me the Nursery Lions minus 20 over Michigan State.
I actually love that pick. Jameson?
I have not been looking forward to this moment. So we already kind of talked about it at the beginning of the pod. I have been quoted in past episodes saying that I was going to martingale strategy the Boco Bobcats, Texas State, and just keep on letting it ride. After they let Arkansas State score 77 against them, they're now a 5-point dog versus South Alabama. Only 5 points. Oh, I can't do that, guys. I just can't do that. And for the sake of Boco, too, I'm going to take a step back and just let them do their thing. I just can't. I can't keep doubling down. I think that's whenever you become a big old loser. I'm already a big one to begin with. But I want some drama. I really do. And another thing of drama on this podcast that there's been some beef is Blake keeps calling me a ball not knower. And I'm getting real tired of it. So I want to stick it to him, and I'm going to show him how much I do know ball. And that's why I'm picking Central Florida this weekend at minus 13.5 versus Houston. I want to hear all of the ball not knower takes after this. I want to hear it from Blake, because John Reese Plumlee is going to show out this weekend, and he's going to stick it to you, Blake. They're going to get a big, big win versus Houston team who just truly does not care anymore. Just wait for it, and it's going to be glorious.
Blake, I'm not trying to reveal his strategy, but this is an obvious attempt to get you to use your wild card to go opposite him on this.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm flushing out the strategy, seeing what's going on. I have contingency plans.
He's a strategy not knower. Strategy not knower spotted on the pod. We got ourselves our own weekend spread levy here.
Overthinking it. Oh, incredible. Okay. I'm just going to go right into mine. Here's the thing. Sometimes you have a pick show up, and yeah, rivalries, you never want to go with an overinflated line, but there's one that just makes so much sense. I don't care about tradition. I don't care about history. I don't care what's happened in the past. Alabama minus 14.5 on the road at Auburn. Just come on. Like, Alabama hasn't been the flashiest, right? But after what Hugh Freeze and that Auburn team did last week, getting stomped by New Mexico State at
Go
home.
Diego, go.
Go Diego, go.
Diego.
And look, I'm not trying, like, New Mexico State, respectable program. You know, they've done a lot of really good things recently, but that is astonishingly bad. This game is about hate. This game is about, like, Alabama is going to be locked in on this one. They have the better team. I think they cover 14.5 easy peasy. That feels great.
So, for my normal pick, there is one rivalry which I love every single year that pops up around this time. And it has one of the best acronym names whenever you smash the two together. I will not say it on this so we don't get delisted or demonetized by anyone, but it's UConn. It's UConn UAss. It is the battle for the bad. No, not even that. There's if you put the CU and then you know what it is. You know the bowl, and it always delivers. And this one is so fantastic to me because I was really high on UAS starting the year. They beat speaking of Go Diego, but go, they went to New Mexico State and beat them on their own terms, which is honestly a great win. Jerry Kill, I think, is a great coach. I think one that Mississippi State should be looking at, like, you need guys in these small, like these mid to low level, like P5 gigs that can just take wins from teams, and Jerry Kill seems to do that. He's done it everywhere he's went. Did it at Minnesota. He's now doing it at New Mexico State. Like, he got them to bowl eligibility last year. They were the original UAS, and they've like found their way. They're playing for a conference title next week. Like, that is insane. So, looking at this bowl, I'm high on UAS at the beginning of the year, start to falter off, and then UConn over here gets their first win of the season versus Sacred Heart, finally. They played a lot of teams close, but you know what? I gotta go UConn here, take the 2.5. They have my German super weapon, who I think is out for the year, but they decided to take him in after he transferred from TCU, so they know a thing about ball. They know that ball isn't defined in the 50 states. It's not those boundaries. You can go international to find those players. I gotta go UConn. 2.5. This game's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be nasty. I'm checking right now if you can even watch this game on like a normal like streaming. It might be a Flow. Oh no, it's ESPN Plus. Thank God. I was expecting Flow Sports or one of those where they're like, if you want to watch this game, it's $30 a month. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, ESPN Plus is you can still get for $6. You can get just about every other college football or basketball game not on TV. So I'm going to take the UConn Huskies in this nasty matchup. Give me the Huskies. And Bobby, you know what to play.
You never saw this coming! I summoned Pot of Greed!
We literally all saw it coming, by the way.
We all saw it coming. And Jameson, you knew this was going to be the focus of this segment. Laying it out. You want me to take that Houston so bad. You want me to. You laid it out there ready for me to pounce. But as Ty mentioned earlier in the pod, the art of war, I'm not going to take your direct advance.
You're scared because you just don't know ball.
I'm not. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to know ball. Give me Boko plus the points. I'll show you how to win with Texas State. It's that easy, my brother. No. You just gotta take them, and they're gonna win. They're probably gonna win outright. I'm gonna show you how easy it is, little boy, that if you just choose the Boko Bobcats, they are going to win the football game. We're talking about the bowl-eligible Boko Bobcats. They're going to turn around with the captain on their ship. I'm going to show you what the ultimate ball not knower is like whenever Boko covers for me. Like, now that they're under my umbrella, they're going to cover.
Jameson, do you have a mulligan?
No.
Gone. I used my mulligan already.
And it wouldn't matter. What is he get?
It wouldn't matter.
It would be more shameful to go crawling over to Blake and jump on his
Blake
pick.
is a coward, is what he is.
I'm not a coward. I'm just going to show you in your defeats, in your eternal war to finally get that Boko glory. I'm going to show you how easy it is. But I just got to walk on the field, and I get it.
Have you picked Boko yet, Blake? Like ever?
No.
He's never
Oh
wild
no,
card.
I did once this year. I picked him against Baylor.
Well, no,
I was the only one that believed, but not as a wild card. No, not as a wild card. So I'm going to show you how.
To win.
Yep, I'm going to show you how easy it is, Jameson.
For the listeners unfamiliar, Boko, Texas State, a team that is an invasive species that I introduced to the podcast a couple of years ago. When you pick them on the weekend spread as a wild card, they always hit. This worked for me. This worked for Jameson. This worked for Bobby. They always hit the first time you pick them, and then never again. Never again. When they're on the regular slate, which they've appeared a couple times, obviously throw that out. But on the wild card, first time, it's like easy money layup. It's like a free trial sign up bonus. That it's just, this is the most disrespectful move that's ever been done on the weekend spread. Blake and Jameson aren't even really competing. And Jameson, just his own team, just absolutely nobody saw this coming. Just masterful play. Truly a strategy knower and ball knower, because that's an objectively good
You know what? I want to shake this guy's hand. I want to shake your hand. I want to shake your hand because you are saving my Boko Bobcats right now. Is what you're doing.
I can't wait for Jameson on Saturday. Watching the game, I looked it up. NFL Network. This isn't even on a college network. We got to go to the NFL to watch this. And I know Jameson has been shouting from the rooftops how much South Alabama's a fraud. They aren't that good of a they're not that good of a Sun Belt team. You're probably right, my man, and I'm about to get all the glory. You never put the money where your mouth is, and
So for y'all keeping score at home, the pot of greens this year have been Ty picking Alabama, me picking Boko, Jameson picking Boko, and Blake picking Boko. So 3 of the 4 we are given 1 extra pick for the entire season, and 3 out of the 4 of us picked Texas freaking State.
I love this.
In my defense, I picked Bama like minus 40 against someone.
I feel like we need to find a way to we might need to tweak pot of greed, because it feels like it might just be a free Boko.
So be it. I'm all for that.
Oh, I'm fine for it, because when Jameson chooses it, it's an auto loss. They know, like, Boko's smart. They know the ball knowers. They know the ball not knowers. They know that they had ball not knowers supporting them the last 2 weeks. Can't get them over the line. We'll show them what the captain does. We'll get them an outright win as a dog.
This is so beautifully scripted, because this is going to hit so perfectly for Blake. And then the bug's just going to be itching him next season. Next season, he's going to be like, oh, I could do it again. I could be the one that breaks the curse. The captain knows ball. I'm going to break the curse, and it's going to burn him. It's going to be amazing.
I don't know. I feel like Blake and I are like almost like too smart to go back to it. Like, I know not to touch him again, but I could see Blake also being like, I'm not touching him again. He knows ball.
Yeah.
He knows picking.
Blake's not a true ball knower.
No, Jameson, you'll see this week. You'll be happy. A smile will be on your face, but a little tear's just going to be rolling down.
This is going to be
knowing what you did, knowing who's your papa to take your team to the promised land.
I told you, I want to shake this guy's hand. Good for you. You did something that I couldn't.
When Boko is 5-6 next year and they need that one win to get him across the line, I want Jameson on his knees begging me to back him just to right the ship. I can't wait for that. He's gonna need me. He's gonna want me just because I'm the only one that can bring his team to the promised land.
Look, we need this to go one of 2 ways. Either Blake needs to do tremendous, or he needs to completely fall apart. I know usually it's like, oh, you're like, whenever you have a strong feeling about something, it's going to go 50-50. This feels like it's going to either go completely horrible, or he's going to have one of the greatest weekend spread weeks of all time.
Oh, man.
I
Of
picked
course
the
you
left.
do. All
Oh,
right.
man.
Amazing.
Well, guys, that's it for the regular season. Last regular season weekend spread of OU in the Big 12. Really the last one of this format, because we are going to shift it up in the future. Obviously, not picking all Big 12 games anymore, as OU is moving to the SEC. So we are going to be trying to figure out some sort of weird hybrid method where we respect our roots, but also look forward to the future.
It would be funny though if it's like if I'm in the lead, we have to pick like primarily Big 12 games, and if y'all are in the lead, it shifts to SEC, like a home field advantage. Like you get your own games.
Like the only SEC game we're picking is like OU and like Ole Miss, but the rest of them are like Utah and UCF.
It's like ASU versus Cincinnati, and you're like, why are we choosing this? You're like, win more, boys.
Traditional Big 12 matchup.
Ugh, I hate that. Well, it was another excellent season of the weekend spread that will be concluded next week when we make our conference championship picks. We've had a lot of years kind of come down to the wire on these on the conference championships. Blake and I have had some legendary battles there. We'll see if that's the case again entering next week. And then also at the bottom, excitement on as well on the line with Ty and Jameson duking it out for last place. So. We will see who has to listen to the worst, alarm possible, devised by probably Blake. But
no, he's a ball not knower. He's gonna just take a big old jump
No.
down.
What does that have to do with picking an alarm?
When I take your team to the promised land this week, Jameson, since it'll be after Thanksgiving by next time we meet up, I'll just sit you on my lap like Santa and give you the full experience. Little ball not knower, show you who's the real daddy here.
What would you like for Christmas, little boy? A Texas State Bowl win?
Yes, I
Because I can give that to you.
And I mean, look, we got the bowl picks pods coming up. Blake, those are always our favorite
chaos.
Too.
Always chaos. Just
God, yeah. Look, this entire season we've struggled to get through 10 picks a week. How are we going to get through the bowls?
I think we divided last year. We divided them nice, where we took we kind of kept the same schedule but divided bowls, because I think we realized if we do it all in one go, it's like it'll last. We'll be here for 5 hours. Yeah,
it'd be longer than a standard Lord of the Rings movie. It'd be bad.
Yeah,
so.
It'd be longer than the March Madness special, which all the OGs who listen to that know.
Oh, that's great.
There are 4 people.
No, when we're halfway through the round of
always
64 funny. And it's hour and 30 minutes in, you know.
you know you're in too deep. There's no way to speed it up. That was a descent into madness. But all right, guys, that's all for our show. Thank you all so much for watching and listening with us all regular season long. We look forward to covering college football's postseason with y'all. And look, it's gonna be fun. So, all right, for me, Blake, Ty, and Jameson, this has been the Weekend Spread. We'll see y'all next time. Good luck out there, everybody.